So welcome everybody to another episode of Webclass Wednesday. It's author success spotlight night, and tonight we're shining the light on Joey Chandler. So if you're here live in the group, we always appreciate you here. And if you're watching the replay, welcome. We love to have you in the room, even if it's after the event. So in the house is Joey Chandler. He's a friend of mine. I met back in 2016 at a Brendan Burchard Experts Academy conference, which is actually where I met Linda Green as well. That was a pretty incredible event, opened up my eyes to the world of online business and all that's come with it since. And Joey talked about writing a book, had a whole bunch of, a few different ideas for a book, all really super ideas. But what happens to many people, probably the majority of the time, is that we know we want to write a book. We haven't quite locked in on what that book is yet. We just know there's a book, and that's cool because you just kind of wait for it to percolate right in your brain. And so Joey has a successful photography business where, what's the name of what you do as far as the stories of families?
So I do, I'm a family photographer, and I also created a video business, which I call UR Videos. And these are videos where when you want to do if you want to do a video for, say, your mom, you give me a list of emails of your mom's friends and family. We send an email campaign out. They respond back with video selfies saying mom is amazing, brilliant, beautiful, those sorts of things. And we put them all together, and you get this video that you would show at a birthday party or an anniversary or retirement or that sort of thing.
So it's just a fantastic idea. It pays homage to people in your family. It's really good. So just a couple of words that were in that I listed in the blog post, and I'll just read them out loud. Joey is a purpose coach, which is what we're going to be talking about tonight, video producer, photographer, and a forthcoming author. His book, Not in My Lifetime, which is actually crossed out the word not, so it's in my lifetime, outlines his process for identifying one's purpose in just 2 questions, and then how you can put your purpose to life to address various important areas of your life. His belief is that by identifying one's purpose and expanding your ability to share and experience that purpose, you can achieve whatever goals you wish to achieve, including those that are often accompanied with the caveat of, but that can't happen in my lifetime. So the book that he's writing is based on his Know Your Purpose program. And the reason he's putting almost his entire program into this book is that he has a goal. And his goal is to end racism in his lifetime. So he figures racism, along with other biases, simply get in the way of people either experiencing or sharing their purpose. So his goal is to reach as many people as he possibly can to help them define their purpose and shift this paradigm and this racism that we have in society. And this is his way of doing his part in order to do that. So between the book and the program and everything that you focus on, I see you achieving your goal and helping a heck of a lot of people in the meantime get to there. So why don't we dive right in, Joey? Tell us a couple of things about you and what you love most about what you do, and then we can cover a couple of questions, and then we'll open up the floor and let people ask you a couple of questions. How's that?
Yeah. Well, and I have to put the caveat is that we met at Brendan Burchard, but we were poolside having a drink.
That's quite true.
It wasn't like we were in the class where we were learning. We were actually met poolside. So I think that's an important part of our relationship as a foundational story.
You meet the best people poolside with a drink.
Exactly.
You bet.
I thank you so much for being on here. Thank you, everybody. I feel like this is second week in a row. It's a real honor. And yeah, I'm one of those people that had a journey through many, many things, and it's all kind of coming together to something that I think is actually important and impactful. And what happened for me was that in those videos that I told you about, that I after doing 50 or 100 of those videos for people, I saw that there was a theme in the videos, and it could be that was about love or family or relationship or adventure or just something. It wasn't loud, it wasn't overt, but that theme was always there. And then after going to conferences and reading the Brendon Burchards and the Simon Sinek's and the Understand Your Why and Find Your Purpose and all those sorts of things, then I was like, oh, that theme that's there, that's that person's purpose. It's how they live their life. Your friends and family interact with it, and it's already there, but we just don't know it. It's in the background of our life, and it's on the bring to the foreground. And the cool part is that since I know I can do a video for pretty much anybody, I can get 30 or 40 or 50 of anybody's friends and family, ask them what they love about them. That means there'd be a theme in that video. That means that we all have a purpose in my eyes. So what is the most fun about this is that I've figured out a process after a few years of stumbles and struggles where it's actually very simple. It's 2 questions. The process takes less than an hour to figure out your purpose, what it means to you, and how you can begin putting it to not only your big goals, but also your day-to-day activities. And so the fun part is when people really get it in that very short period of time, they light up and they laugh. And recently I've been actually doing this process for people who have spent more than $50,000 on trainings and
personal development stuff.
Personal training, right? They've gone to all the courses and they spent a lot of money. And you ask them, "Do you know your purpose?" And there's like, well. And it's really fun to see those folks be like, oh, I get it. Because then all the work that they've done really starts to come alive and they can start to see it.
Yeah, and then you start to realize how much you have kind of in the bank already, like how much you've actually accomplished. When you realize where you're going and what your purpose is, you know that you kind of realize that sometimes that you've kind of known all along, you've had an idea, it's been there, and you've been moving toward it, but just not as consciously as you could, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of my first purpose rules, that your purpose is always in the language of a young person. And I say it's been with us since we were young, whether you believe it was a spirit or a soul or an energy or just the way your brains are wired, that purpose would have been with us, either before we were born or after we were, right at birth, whatever your belief is. But either way, it will be in the language of a young person. And so it's been there with us all the time. And the cool part is when you look back, you figure out your purpose, you can look back and you can see the thread that it has woven throughout your life. Then you can say, oh, wow, I sucked in all those places, but I actually was pretty good in those. And then you can start to use those as like stepping stone and foundations. Because I definitely was one of those people who focused on all the places where I sucked. And this has allowed me to say,
did you have a program like that once? So there was something.
Exactly. The program was many programs. I'm a program creating machine that doesn't quite work out. But it once you're able to figure out your purpose and really start to see the thread of it, then you're able to step on it and use that as the foundation to go forward to. And the cool part about understanding your purpose is that it allows for a couple things. It allows for you. Yes, Linda, it was called Funk to Flow, and it was all about getting past your where you sucked, which ended up being very negative. So I changed that. But the idea is once you get your purpose, it will give you the clarity of where you want to go, and it will give you the confidence in yourself to actually, that you think you can do it, and the courage to take the steps.
Yes.
And the really cool part about understanding your purpose is that it really allows you to connect with other people. So it also helps you build the community around you to do whatever it is that you're out to do.
That's fascinating stuff because it's core value, right? It's really realizing why, how you tick and how everything you do kind of funnels into that one place. And if you don't know what that one thing is, that one thing, or maybe it's a multiple of things that work in harmony together to be called whatever that purpose is for you, whatever drives you forward, that infiltrates every part of your life, right?
Yeah, and it's not like this thing is totally new. Like you said, it's been there for a while.
Yeah.
Like mostly when I work with people and they're like, well, and they'll come up with their purpose, like, love or power or happy or something. And they'll be like, well, doesn't everyone think this? It's like very much like, well, duh. But what you realize is that your purpose is well, I'm not going to say it's unique to you, is special to you, and your version of your purpose is very unique to you. But it's been there. It's been there and the reason we know it's there is because if I did a video for you, get all these people together, there'd be a theme. And so that theme shows that your video has been there. And I've done videos for people from 7 to 90 all over the world. So as far as I can tell, being human means having a purpose, and it's just about bringing it forward and putting it in the language that you used when you were young.
Yeah, and to use it to, in your own life versus other people reflecting it back at you.
Yeah,
Right?
just to have the intention.
Right.
Exactly.
How powerful is that? And yeah, I think a lot of us have. I know when I think about what I'm here to do, it's by how you feel. So where do you feel the most joy in what it is? I don't know what your questions are. We're going to get to what those questions are and how you work your program, but a lot of the time we know we're on the right track when we're feeling really good. And when we're feeling really good, it's usually because we're doing something we love. And we're usually driven by something that guides us like purpose, right? When we're doing what we love and we feel really good about what we're doing. And by the same token, you kind of often know when you're totally off track, where you're just like this, you know what? I know I'm supposed to, or I've been told I should be doing this, but it's not me.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to be able to own the more that you can own your purpose and be able to share it and explore it. Like I'm about people being great, and all the, people ask me all the time, like, why are you talking about racism? And I'm like, well, look, if you have a purpose, it's really hard to be about people being great if someone's being racist to you or you're being racist to somebody else. Just as a fundamental, simple, nothing too complicated sort of way. And as there's a lot in the business world, we're like, don't talk about that kind of stuff. Don't talk about that. Don't. And I'm like, well, I kind of have to, for me to be fully expressed. For me not to talk about it would be, it just wouldn't be real. It wouldn't be as powerful.
Yeah. So I'm just going to switch gears over to the book side of things now, because I know it funnels into they're kind of mutually. They work toward each other. You have the program, the purpose program, and then you've got the book. So take us back to when you decided that this book was going to be a creation that was working congruently with your program. Like what were your first thoughts about writing this book that goes with the program?
Yeah, one of the first thoughts was, because I've been talking to Carolyn pretty much every, maybe not month, but at least quarterly. And usually I'm like, I got an idea for a book. And she's like, great, tell me about it. That's awesome. And then I would disappear because I wouldn't quite work out. So I've been thinking about books for a while. And actually the thing that really struck me this past quarter, since kind of the beginning of the new year, I was like, damn, I am writing a lot on Facebook. If I just took a percentage of that and put it into a book, I would have a book done. Like and that was one of the things that got me going. Like, I'm already doing this. Why don't I do this with a little more intention?
That is so true and so valuable, because I think a lot of people can relate to that. We put out these snippets of knowledge on a regular basis. You drop these great quotes, or your quotes, your thoughts, your intuition, and you do it maybe once a day or a couple of times a day. And if you were to go backtrack over all that content, you want to repurpose it and use it. Right? So you decided that sitting at a computer and doing that, though, as far as writing a book, wasn't really working for you. So how did you discover a way that worked really well for you to write a book?
So I don't remember where exactly I figured. It was the past couple months, but I came across a website called Temi, T-E-M-I, and it's a what do you call it? Dictation website.
Transcription.
You can dictate it in, and they put out the words. And it's only 10 cents a minute, and I use it first for some videos. Oh, that's right. I use it first to try to transcribe some of my videos to put the words in underneath on a Facebook post. And then about a month ago, I was sitting down. I'm trying to write, and every time I sat down to write, I would write and I would get distracted. I would do this, I do that, like nothing came out. And I just felt so frustrated. And then I had the idea of like, why don't I see if I could dictate this and use Temi to create the book. And over this course of 3 days, I think it was 3 days, 2 or 3 days, I probably hiked about 10 miles. And I dictated out, I think it was 120,000 words. And
Right.
so now those are very, very rough. I would call that a very, very rough draft. Like I still
That's
have to,
the
I have to go
brain dump.
back. And
That's
I'm
the
going
part that
back.
I always tell people to put in a Google Doc, and you brilliantly did it without
Yeah.
having to sit down and write it.
Yeah. And so so now I have a rough draft, and just being able to say I have a rough draft, even though it's really, really rough, gives me it just given me a massive amount of confidence in terms of writing. And it also really helped with my approach to the way I'm writing my book, is that it seems like a lot of especially in the self-help world, development world, nowadays it's like you read 2 chapters or maybe 3 and they're great, but the rest are kind of the same things said over and over again. Yeah, I don't know if you guys experience that, but that's been my experience recently.
Yeah, sure. It's just it seems like somebody's just trying to fill the pages, right?
They're trying to fill the pages, right? And I talked to a friend, and I was like, what if I only wrote 50 pages? And they're like, God, that would be great, because so many books now are just 50 pages of good and 150 of not. And so I had the idea is my process is probably going to take maybe 15 or 20 pages to kind of flesh out. And then what I'm doing is I'm coming up with like 30 or 40 different sections, like how can you be more adventurous or productive, or how can you use your purpose for relationships or writing, or just different things. And then I'm going to tell the reader to say, hey, here's the table of contents of these areas. Go pick the 3 or 4 or 5 that are most interesting to you. Read those, because what you're going to find is that when you apply your purpose as you apply your purpose in one area, the process is very, very similar to another area. And so I'm basically regurgitating lots of my information in a particular area. So that allowed me to just walk and talk as I thought about how can this help with leadership? How can purpose help with, relationship or communication or productivity or procrastination? And I was just able to dictate that over. I just kept thinking of areas and dictated over and over. And that's where I came up with my 120,000 words.
It's brilliant. I mean, there's so many different ways of writing books. I mean, we can repurpose content. We can take, if we're giving a course, we can repurpose that content into a book, vice versa. It doesn't, there's no rule that says that if you write the stuff on Facebook, it has to stay on Facebook. You can't use it anywhere else. As a matter of fact, I learned some of that most specifically from Brendan Burchard, because he would take old content and just recycle it and give it recycle those thoughts and that energy and keep putting it out there, because it's not always the same eyes or the same ears that are going to be watching and listening every single time you communicate. So take some of that stuff, repurpose it. But a lot of people get stuck in this this idea that writing a book means I have to sit down in front of a screen that's blank, figure something out, and then write all this brilliant content because I'm sitting myself in front of the computer. And I try to convey that you're writing your book in real time all the time. You're writing your content in real time. So once you become super aware of that, then you can take an approach like yours. Make sure you have your phone's recorder with you all the time, because you're going to download things on a regular basis at times that aren't going to be convenient to write it down anyway. I mean, I'm classic car content driver with the phone. So can't let it be seen that I have the phone with me, but I can quickly click record, because my ideas tend to come when I'm not, focused on anything specific, when I'm just out doing whatever, like you're walking in nature and this stuff is now starting to do, well, you have to be able to capture that content. So not only do you capture it, but then you've taken it, send it off to transcription. You don't even have to do anything with it. They take care of the content. How great is that?
Yeah. And this year I'm trying to lose some pounds, like it's a double. I put a backpack on, I have a little weight. Like I really am starting to, if I could, I'm looking for like virtual assistants that I could actually send some of the dictation to do some of the fine tuning. So I really like the approach. It gets that out, and it gets me away, because I am a sucker for Facebook. I get sucked in way too easily, and I'm just not strong enough to resist it.
Yeah, it definitely is. If you allow it to, it can be a major distraction. Well,
Yeah.
I think, Joey, maybe what we should do is a little retreat, a book writing retreat, and it has everything to do with walking through the mountains and dictating your book. So everybody who
Yeah.
comes to the retreat has to bring the recorder, and we'll have a book written in a weekend.
That would be, gosh, that would be amazing. Because then you could have, if you arrange for some virtual assistants, I could do it over while you're having dinner, or to break it down. That would be incredible.
Well, you know what? I don't know. We'll have to think about that. All these ideas just get created, right? I think Lisa's liking that idea.
Well, yes, because if we could have a book with each of us in ideas in there or something, and there's a connection.
Lisa's on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just registered the title for her forthcoming book.
Yeah.
She's very excited. It's all so good. So many ways to create a book, and we want to make it fun. We want to have fun with it. We don't want it to be drudgery. I mean, this is a creation that comes from our heart and soul, inspired thought, God-driven, right? I mean, if it's sent to you, it's meant for you. So people often ask me, well, I'm writing a book about this and there's other books about that. It's like, yeah, of course there's other books about that particular subject, but it's never, ever going to be the way you tell it, your story, your experience, your energy. So every single book is always unique. And then finding unique ways of writing it, well, that's even more fun, because then you can actually challenge yourself to be even more productive, which is what you've done. So that's fantastic. So a couple of tips there for people. So did you ever have this feeling when you were thinking of writing your book, this kind of terror barrier, fear thing, imposter syndrome? Did you ever feel any of those things? Like, who am I to write this book anyway?
Yeah, it's I definitely have an I suck voice that was actually, it's less now, but it was very powerful. I'm pretty good at getting started, but following through is where I get stuck. So a couple of nice things, and this is where I would highly recommend everybody to understand your own purpose, is that purpose is this really powerful tool to help you keep going, because you realize that you have, not only is the book there for you, but you have a message that you want to put out into the world. And when you understand that relationship between yourself and other people, it just kind of gives you an extra kick in the butt to kind of do something. Like, if I don't do this, this message won't get out and the world won't be improved or impacted in that way. And I find that understanding that your purpose is about yourself and other people is just helpful.
You're 1,000%. When you take your eyes off yourself and what you the limits that you put on yourself, which means, the habits that aren't serving you to actually move the project forward, and why, you can come up with a million reasons why that is. But if you take your eyes off of all the reasons why it's difficult or challenging or don't have time and can't do this, or all of those different messages that come to us, and flip that script and think about the people that you're serving with the book. Yep. What is the message? How can I inspire one person? And if you can really feel what that feels like, and I've experienced it, anybody who has created anything that inspires somebody else, whether it's a book or we have artists in the room, artwork, where somebody goes, oh my gosh, wow, that really touched me in a certain way. And when you're teaching something in a book and you actually shift somebody else's thinking because of how you've been able to help them, then if you were to imagine how that feels and live in the feeling as if that wish is fulfilled. So in other words, put yourself in the present tense and somebody calls you up, sends you an email, meets you at a book signing and says, you have no idea how this book helped me, changed my life. You would be writing that book so damn fast. Okay? Mm-hmm. Nothing would hold you back. That motivation would be in that laser focus of purpose, because that's your purpose at that point, right? Is getting that message out, and the message of being able to be of service to other people. You wouldn't find any excuses. You'd get it done.
Yeah.
So
that's a great point.
right? So if you were to, like when you help people find their purpose, what's kind of the first reaction that you find when they get it, when it, like the light goes on? Like that must be a great feeling.
Oh, it's amazing. It's two parts. The main thing people get, they're like, wow, this is incredible. And then they get that they've been doing this already. And I've since doing this work, I have stepped away from the idea of trying to change ourselves or trying to transform ourselves. I'm more now about, like, you figure out who you are and become more of that.
Right.
And you just become more of that and more of that and more of that. And so it's really fun is when people get it and they're like, oh, I've been doing this my whole life in these different ways.
Unconsciously.
And my second rule of purpose is that we are all already living our purpose, not as much as we want, but more than we think.
Right.
And to me, that just frees me up to be like, wow, I sucked in all these areas, but I was really good here. And I'm still about people being great, which is my purpose. And it just allows me to not beat myself up so much.
It's pretty important, pretty common, right? The self-talk and living in the energy of, focusing because whatever we focus on expands. So if you're focused on the things that you feel you're not doing well, then you're going to just kind of go down that rabbit hole of that energy. And I say it a lot. I don't think any of us give ourselves enough credit for what we achieve and how much we actually do accomplish. We tend to focus on what we haven't done versus what we have done.
Yep.
And when it comes to, empowerment, which is my purpose, when you want to grow, then you have to be in this energy of gratitude and appreciation and feeling like great vibrational energy. And the best way to do that is take a look at everything that you accomplished today, right? I mean, start at the beginning of the day and look at everything for what it actually is. There's a ton of accomplishment, whether you got somewhere on time where you thought you were going to be late, or, you picked up the phone and made the call that you have been resisting making, or whatever that may be, or you wrote 100 words down on paper that clarified, what your book is about. Doesn't matter. Look at those things, and then what you focus on expands. So guess what you're going to be thinking about tomorrow? All the things that I'm going to do today and the things I accomplished today. It's a really great way to feel good about yourself.
Yeah, and I break it down a little bit further than that. And so your purpose is always in a very simple word: greatness, love, joy, something that you would have said when you were young. But it's always very broad. Mm-hmm. And what I do then is I create what I call purpose pillars. And these are the tenets of what your purpose means to you. Because if I say I'm about people being great, that's going to mean different things to different people, and they're going to be, confused. So what greatness means to me is knowing who you are, having a dream, getting after it, having fun with friends and family, and helping other people do the same.
Yeah.
That's my definition of greatness. It's not intended for anybody else. And the cool part, I didn't realize this going in, but what can happen is when I get stuck, I now can go to my pillars and figure out which one of these is missing. Like, am I focused on my dream? Am I getting after it? Do I have people around me? My friends and family has meant, like, do I have a team at work that I'm using? Am I helping other people? Those are my pillars, and so those help me get unstuck.
So when you're asking people to the two questions, are you asking them to create their pillars as well?
Yeah. So here, actually, can we have Jenny come in? Because we actually did the exercise with her after the call last week.
Jenny, would you want to unmute yourself and just share with us a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. Hi.
Hi.
Where would you like me to start? My purpose?
Yeah, sure.
Carolyn, I think I actually messaged you, but are you surprised? My purpose is happiness.
No, not surprised at all.
I was a little. And when we talked about the pillars, I guess we'll talk about the pillars first. I still have my notes. My phone call right here.
Okay, great.
you know, the pillars, when we were talking about them, I would not have connected them all to happiness. And I've said to you, as I was doing things as well, I feel very scattered because I'm a support worker, but my background's in theater and television, but I want to do writing, and I'm doing storytelling, and I'm doing this, and I'm like, it's all like a mess. And I love all of these things, and, you know, Gilbert and Sullivan to Nirvana, like, I love like everything. Right? And I'm going to share what I think what made Joey the happiest, because he really loved it. As I explained it to him at the end, I said, the best thing about talking to you is I know all the pieces will go together like a puzzle, but right now they're all from the same box. At least I know they're all from the same box. They're all where they need to be. And when they eventually go together, they will click together, and they'll have like the most beautiful picture of what I'm supposed to be, or not supposed to be, who I am. I just don't see it yet. So
that's,
yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, I thought that was a beautiful way to describe it. And should we just ask the two questions to get it out of the way for everybody?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes. Okay. Here we go. So here are the two questions, and I won't be able to work with everybody quite as much, but if you need help, let me know. The first question is when you interact with people, how do you want them to feel?
Okay. So when you interact with people, I'm going to put it in the chat. I'll just mute myself.
And if anybody wants to just like blurt out a couple of them, just so we get some ideas of what's that?
I want them to be happy.
You want them to be happy, right? You're already taken care of. We're going to other people. You already went to the front of the class.
I'm just trying to get people to talk.
Okay, so I want people to feel uplifted.
Uplifted, perfect. Okay. Anybody have like safety or comfort?
Valuable.
What was that?
Well, I said valuable.
Valuable. Okay, perfect. Okay, uplifted, valuable. These are all awesome. Now, as I said, our purpose has been with us for a very long time. Some, is part of a spirit, a soul, an energy, way our brains are wired. It could have been there before we were born or after we were born. But either way, our purpose was with us when we were young. So the first rule of purpose is that our purpose is always in the language of a young person. So I want you to take whatever words you wrote down, and I want you to think of that feeling, and how would you have described that feeling in language that you would have used when you were 10, 11, or 12? And maybe I could work with one person here to just give a sense of how this works out, because sometimes it takes a little finagling.
Okay, so I've just posted all that in the chat, guys. So if you want to go and
is there anybody who'd like to work with me?
Copy and paste it.
Gabriella raised her hand there.
Okay, Gabriella. Well, maybe we'll have time for another one here. We'll start with Gabriella.
Hey.
Hello.
How are you?
Great. So what did you put down for how you want people to feel?
Empowered and happy.
Okay, awesome. And when you think of the feeling of empowered and people being happy, how would you describe that in language that you would have used when you were 10, 11, or 12?
I have no clue.
Well, let's just go back and look back when you were hanging out with friends, and that thing that you would have wanted for yourself and for other people, it would have been somewhere in that feeling. And how would you just describe that feeling?
Honestly, I have a hard time going back to when I was 10, 11, or 12 because I didn't have a lot of friends back then.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. And think about that for yourself. Like, how would you would have that happy, empowered, that feeling of being happy, empowered, how would you describe that? What's that feeling like?
Oh, good.
Good, right. And so in the feeling of good, so good is one of those words that's a little bit tricky sometimes, but The feeling of good. How would you describe that when you were younger? Like, what was good for you?
Being accepted.
Accepted. Awesome. And when you feel accepted, how would you describe that in language that you would have used when you were young?
Awesome.
Awesome.
Loving.
Yeah. Are you about people being awesome or loving?
Loving.
Loving. Okay. Got it. And is there places in your life where you've helped other people experience love?
Yes.
And are there places in your life where you've experienced love?
Yes.
And if I asked you, hey, I want to have more love in my life, you could give me some tips on what to do?
Probably.
Yeah. And you could probably also point out some things like not to do because they don't work because you made those mistakes?
Yes.
Right. And how is your work as an author right now about creating love for people in their lives, in your life?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that.
That's a really good question, because in your case, your book explains stories, right?
Yeah, that was the basis of it. But I'm coming to realize that it's more about my stories and how I've affected others and how others have affected me. So yes. Yeah, those stories from other people. Yes. So they've affected me in both ways.
Right. So there's probably stories in there of love and in places where you've had love and not, like it's a
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And as the reader goes through, how is this going to help them be able to, and I'm not just talking about like romantic love, but like love,
self-love,
like acceptance of love, self-love, connecting, and this is where we'll go in a second, we'll go into your tenets, but like love beyond just kind of the basic, romance type thing. But how does your work help with that?
It's going to help a lot.
How so?
I have a great message.
Okay. So awesome. So you are about people experiencing more love in their life.
Yes.
And now, so for some of your pillars, it sounds like connection is one.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
So what are some other things that contribute to love for you?
Oh my gosh. Understanding, compassion.
Okay. So write down, I don't have a pen here, paper.
I'm writing it in the chat.
Yeah. Write down. So you said understanding.
Compassion, connection.
Connection, right?
Yeah.
What are some other things?
Listening.
Listening, yep.
Non-judgmental.
Okay.
Accepting.
Yep. I don't know. I just go with some of the words that pop in my head sometimes, but somehow I get adventure from you. I don't know if that's true. Is there something like that?
Yeah, a little bit.
So this is just me throwing out there. You don't choose. You don't choose that because of me, but or maybe excitement or something like that.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is pick 5 of them so you can remember them on your hand.
Okay.
So which 5 of these most jump out at you? And then obviously you can change these as you go forward, but which 5 of these work the best?
Compassion, listening, accepting, adventure, and connection.
Awesome. Okay. So you are about love, and what that means to you is compassion, connection, listening, acceptance, and adventure.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, here's a cool part. Think of a place in your life where you're bumping up against a wall. You're kind of having a limit in your ability to experience love or share love. You're kind of struggling a bit. Can you think of a spot that you'd be willing to share with us?
Oh boy. Which one do I want to pick?
It doesn't really matter. We're just going to get as an example here.
Okay. Okay. Ask me the question again. Sorry.
Is there a place in your life where you're bumping up against a limit? You're not really able to experience love for yourself or for other people.
Yes.
And,
Okay.
and
So,
what would that area be?
well, just recently, the most thing that can really pops up is a situation that happened with my daughter last week or a week before. And I definitely put limits up against myself. And in reality, I was limiting myself to be compassionate with her.
Okay.
And with myself.
Yeah. So I have a son. My son's here too. We bump heads, so I can get the thing. But I want you to look at your pillars here: compassion, connection, listening, acceptance, or adventure. And which one or two of those do you think, if you were to elevate in this particular situation, it would help you out?
Compassion and accepting.
Okay. And is that compassion for yourself or for your daughter, or
Myself.
both?
Myself.
Okay. And so that's the way you just go, and you're like, okay, I'm about love, and I wasn't being very accepting or compassionate in those moments.
Wow.
And now you can bring it, right? You know ways to bring a little more compassion to that.
Yeah. Ooh, I got chills up my spine.
Yeah. So that's when you know you get a purpose. It lands it, and this is what I call from it. A lot of people who teach purpose, they teach the very adultified words. And those are the high level words, and they're in your head. But when you get it in your heart, in your gut, you'll chills, you'll laugh, you'll smile. And the homework for you, and this is for everyone who's been following along with this, is you go out and own the shit out of love. You become the love queen. Like wherever you are, you talk about love. And you're not talking about the willy-nilly, frilly sort of love. You're talking about love that gets in your bones and gives you chills. And it's about connection and adventure and listening. And you're going to see a ton of places in your life where you're fully able to experience love and share it with other people. And there's a bunch of places where you can't. And that's just life. And the idea here is you're going to grow your ability to experience and to share love with other people.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic.
Fantastic. I love it. Thank you so much.
And here's the way, this is how we know this works, is that if I did a video for you, get 30 or 40 or 50 of your best people, all say what they love and appreciate you, I'm going to guess that being loving would be somewhere in the mix. May not be the exact word they use, but it would be close enough to that when you go out and speak it, you're actually going to be putting language to feelings that they have, but can't identify exactly.
Yeah, sounds like me.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Is that a value to you, Gabriella? Is that
a huge?
Can you apply? Can you apply it? Yeah.
Absolutely. I love it.
I think that's fantastic. I think that's what's so important, right? When we learn something, it's how we can take it and then apply it into our day-to-day life and actually feel that the 2 millimeter shift. Tony, uses it. That's one of the things I took away from UPW. There's on one hand, I could count the really powerful moments that I experienced in 4 days there. But that was one of the things that stuck, because we often think in quantum leaps, which I have nothing against. I've taken them. We've all taken those. But sometimes the more powerful moments that we experience in life are the very small baby steps, the little 2 millimeter shifts that change our mindset. They change the way we think, because our awareness is heightened. And when you change the way you think, you change the way you feel. And then the way you feel changes the way that you behave, which changes your actions, changes your results. So if you can actually change the way you see yourself and what your purpose is moving forward and how it applies in all areas of your life, think of how powerful that could be.
It's huge. I'm blown away. Thank you so much.
So now you know a little bit more than when you came in, Gabriella.
Yeah.
I just have to put a couple things out there here. So really what there's to do is go out and share this.
Yes.
You want to go out and tell people, hey, I'm about love, and this is what love means to me. Compassion, connection, listening. You want it so you can just rattle those things off and memorize them so well, so that when you go in and you're talking to, I don't know what kind of work that you do, but if you're talking to a publisher, you say look, I'm going to be creating my books are about love. And this is what it means to me. Mr. Publisher, what does love mean to you? And they'll tell you. And then you can say, okay, this is how I think my books will be able to help with that.
Yeah.
You know, or whatever you do. But it's really important that you go out and share this in all sorts of areas. And Jenny, you there?
Yep.
I can kind of tell that you haven't shared this. There's more sharing for you to do out in the world. Because if you share it in your everyday life, what will happen is that you'll build up that muscle. And then when the time comes and you have that big job or big interview or client or investor or whoever, and they say, who are you? You're able to just rattle it right off.
Yeah,
and
it becomes part of you. It's part of you.
Yeah.
Well, isn't it though already a part of you? It's just acknowledging it and heightening it.
The more you recognize it and communicate it, not just inside, but outside, right, Joey? The more you communicate it, the more comfortable you come with the knowing of it, and the more comfortable you become with it, the more you become actively a part of it instead of it being in you, but not actively being kind of part of your life. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Because remember, your purpose is always about yourself and other people. Like Gabriella, it's hard for you it's your ability to experience love will be limited if you're around a bunch of people who aren't experiencing love. And even if you're around people who are full of love, if you're not feeling it yourself, your ability to experience it will be limited. So our relationship to purpose is always there. And then the one thing I do need to say, just to be responsible, is that the theory on this is that you can go out and have a conversation and leave people present to love, at any point. That's the theory. In reality, there are people in places that it's not healthy or safe to try to bring love to in that situation. And in those cases, that it may be just like, I'm out of, say what you got to say and then get out of here. That is there. But because the theory is different than reality. But my idea is that if you expand your ability to share love, maybe at some point you'll be able to talk to that person. Or if you never talk to that person, maybe by you talking to someone, and it goes around, it will get to that person. That's how I believe the community work. But I do need to be responsible because there are some people, obviously a lot of ladies here, and also in the minority world where people are being sexist or racist. I'm not saying try to go love the person that's being, really bad to you.
Yeah. Well, it dovetails into the laws, and Pazit's on the call. So we and some of the 7 a.m. Mastermind Club are on the call. But we study the laws, and one of the laws, of course, is the law of giving and receiving. So and behind the law, we say that we give generously and we receive gracefully, but the giving and the receiving are not necessarily going to be from the same person. Mm-hmm. So when you give, so in your example of giving love, you may be giving to leave people with the impression of increase, but it doesn't mean that they're going to be responsive or available to receive it. But if you're giving it, it will come back to you somewhere in your universal life. So if you're giving with generosity without expecting a return, it will still return to you. It may not be from that person, and that person may not be ready to receive it when you give it, but they may later. Yeah. So you can never really lose by giving. So I understand where you're coming from, Joey, as far as, giving love and wanting to not be in people's personal space maybe and give something that's not necessarily welcome. But I think that when we give of ourselves, then we're always giving that out into the universe, okay? And that serves everybody on the planet whenever we do that. That's just really good energy.
So
right? Yeah.
Looks like we have time for. I can either do one more person up through Gabriella, or I could say I could walk Gabriella through how she would use this to produce results in her life.
I just want to read one comment because I think it's a really good one from Natalie. She says, it's interesting that when we talk about purpose here, it's different from what I would normally think purpose means. Normally, I think it's what I do versus a feeling.
Yeah. So this is, I'm so glad you brought that up, Natalie. The idea here on purpose is that our purpose is not any one job, because we had our purpose before the job was there. and it's going to be there after we're done with it. And this was, and so when I was exploring this, I'm like, oh, no one job is a purpose. Your job is a reflection of your purpose.
Yes.
Like all of you, your authorship, or all of us, are writing and whatever it is that we do are reflections of our purpose, but it's not our purpose.
Right. Right. Well, you know what would be really interesting, Joey? I mean, I know you have a coaching program, so I mean, I'd like people to be able to plug into it if that's, if you want to drop a link that they can connect with you after. Yep. I think it might be interesting to do one more, not that I want to leave Gabriella hanging there, but maybe a follow-up, or if there's a way for you to plug into Joey's program, maybe kind of take somebody else and try to kind of move them forward a little bit.
Who would like that?
Okay.
Is that Lisa?
Lise?
Yes.
Whatever.
So how when you first interact with people, how do you want them to feel?
Well, I wrote great, listened to, and accepted.
Okay, awesome. Great, listened to, and accepted. Okay.
And then I got stuck with Gabriella's love, okay? That was not my word.
Right. It's not. That's not your thing. You want to look for your own. So when you think of people feeling great, listened to, and accepted, how would you describe that when you were 10, 11, or 12?
Well, to me, it was caring.
Caring, okay.
And caring for somebody, caring for someone, or being cared for.
Okay, awesome. Now, when you feel cared for, what's the experience of that? Like when you're either caring for or feeling cared for, what's the experience of that?
Well, like the other one, better connection. Better understanding.
Yep.
Acceptance. That comes.
Acceptance. So when you feel better about yourself, what's the experience of your life when you feel better about yourself?
Well, I can go further. Like it pushes me, or or it propulse. How do you say that in English?
Yeah. Lise, did you speak English when you were 10, 11, or 12?
Yes, but
limited.
Right. What language did you speak when you were younger?
French.
Okay. So this may be a French word. I just did this exercise with a guy.
Give me a French word.
It may be. I'm not saying it is, but it may lift you up more if you think about and I don't speak French, so I can't help you so much. But the word that is coming to me a little bit is, what about feeling alive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true.
There you go. So are you about people feeling alive?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. And what would be the French version of alive?
Vivant.
Viva, right. Oh, viva la France. Right. It's so perfect.
Vivant.
Okay.
Vivant.
So, and so one of the rules of purpose is always makes you smile, and so you can see your face light up. It's and this is a great example. Caring, wonderful word. That's a adultified word. That's an intellectual word. It sounds good. Alive, and you weren't smiling. Alive, you light up.
That's right.
Right. So what are some of your pillars?
I can tell you, if I did a video about Lise, I could tell you that when she knew what her book was finally about and she got her title, I think she jumped off the chair and I could see vivant, vivant, vivante everywhere. She was alive.
Right. Right. So what are some of your pillars what helps you feel alive? What helps other people come alive?
Connection, connection is there.
Yep.
Listening.
Yep.
And acceptance.
Yep.
And adventurous and confident.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, so feeling alive is having connections, listening, accepting, having adventures, and being confident.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Now, and can you think of places in your life? Are there some places in your life where you don't feel alive right now?
Yeah.
What would be one of those that you'd be willing to share?
Well, I just left a relationship. I've got marital relationship, bad relationship, and also I'm. It's like I got myself stuck in a job. I don't like being there. I like to do the connection. So, yeah.
Okay. So which one of those would you like to talk about for just a couple minutes?
Oh, I'll talk about the job.
Okay, the job one.
It's gonna be
Before we go in there, this is actually a good point for everybody. You can go, one of the assignments that I do is I have people write out, like, you know, they're the things that they're like, you know, they're disasters in their life, the area where the places where they're embarrassed and, you know, we just know we messed up. You know, I got fired from a job and, you know, my fiance dumped me and I got a whole list of things. And then you put out your pillars, and then you just go down and see which one of those would have made a difference in that.
Okay.
And what it does is it allows your places where you suck to become a learning moment. And you can say, here's where, and this is the idea in this. So at your job, what do you think would help you if you brought some connection, listening, acceptance, adventure, or confidence to it?
I would need to get rid of one part of the job.
Okay.
The part that I feel alive and learning and bringing something to people.
Okay.
Contribution for you.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, so you said a couple things there. Just learning and contribution might also be in your pillars, but to look at, so you've known you needed to do this to take that action. What one of your pillars would help you take those actions that you need to take?
Confidence.
Confidence. There you go. Okay, so
because it's a brand new field. I've been learning for 9 months now, but there's so much to learn, and I'm an educator. That's my way of transmitting, and sometimes I feel like I'm not up to par.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you're not. It sounds like you have some learning to do. Yeah. Now, there's places where you do know enough, and there's places where you don't. You know, like there's places you're alive in your work, and you're not. And what there is to do is to see if you can bring some confidence. Now, the way that you do that, and this is the kind of the next part, is to look at the systems that you have in your life. So, what are the things that allow you to have more confidence? Like whether it be, you know, I'm going to study each, thing each day, or I'm going to take someone out to lunch, or I'm going, whatever the systems that allow you to experience more of aliveness in your work and to share more aliveness.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But the idea is that you're about being alive, and then you just go own at your job. You own the shit out of being alive. You're just like, I want everyone to feel alive. I want training. You're going to look at the systems, like how people, a lot of us are, we do email campaigns. And so what I'm looking at is like, how can I have people feel great when they go through my email campaign? And that is a whole new world for me, because mostly I'm like, email campaigns. I hate it. But now it's giving me some just a different way to look at it.
I didn't have anything to put on. I didn't have anything to chew on. But now I'm dealing with the world of hemp and cannabis, and it lights me up like nothing else in the world.
There you go.
And I don't take any substance.
You get lit without getting lit, please.
But I can see what it can do for people.
Yes.
In a good way.
Yeah.
Both of those things. So is.
So that's the So that's, and so again, you just go out and own the crap out of alive over and over and over and over again. And so where you are alive, and you'll see places where you're not.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's how you know how to adjust.
And you can
because
adjust.
there are things in life that we have to move away from. We have to let go to grow. So I look at my life constantly. I analyze it and look at it, and I'm always adjusting as I go. What serves me, and some things they do, and then until they don't. Then you have to move from that to continue to go toward where you're meant to go. So I really like what Natalie put there before, because I think it's true. A lot of people think, what's my purpose? And they equate it to your career. But it's really much deeper than that. And that depth drives the rest.
And then can I actually share something real quick?
Yeah.
Just because I just feel like I have to, hold on one second. Oh, or actually.
Do you want to share your screen?
I will in a second.
Joey, thank you very much.
My pleasure. This is what I've, let's see here. Where is this? Okay. Wait, no, not that. Okay, I will have to do this. Okay, do you guys mind if I share the screen real quick?
No, go ahead.
So the thing that I want to put it in here, because sometimes purpose is thought about as a, an airy-fairy sort of thing. What I've come to realize is that purpose is an ecosystem. And this is when you understand the ecosystem is when you can start to produce results. So what we've been talking about here is your purpose. And if everybody can see that.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're talking about your purpose. And there are what you have, and then I jump over to you have results. There's things that you want to do in your life. You want to write a book. You want a job that works. You want a relationship that works. Whatever it is that you have results. The way that you gain those results is by increasing your ability to experience your purpose and to share it. A simple example of this, you're a speaker. You can speak, no problem in front of 10 people. But if I put you in a room of 100, you're not present to joy or love or anything. You're present to freak out. Or if I, put in, CEOs instead of your friends, your experience of your purpose will be different.
Okay.
And then your ability to share it also, as you be able to put your purpose out into the world and share it with other people, the more that you can do that, the more that you can increase results. So that speaker, if they speak more eloquently, if they have nice handouts, all the different things that allow their purpose to get caught or get related to on the other side or the other people. And the way that you expand these things is by looking at 3 areas. You look at yourself, like what does it take, at least for you to experience aliveness, and Gabrielle to experience love, and Jenny to experience happiness. Like just what does that take for you? What does your house need to look like? Fitness, all sorts of different things. What makes for that? Because that will impact your ability to experience and share your purpose. You look at other people and how they relate to your purpose. Like I'm about greatness, and if I just come in saying I'm great, and people don't feel great, it's not my thing's not going to land well. It's the message isn't going to get there no matter what's going on. So the more that you know about other people and how they relate to your purpose, the more you're going to be able to experience it yourself, and the more you're going to be able to share it.
Okay. And
then lastly are the systems that you have. And the systems show up in multiple areas. There's like the systems that you have in your life. Like, Gabrielle, like if your systems does, the way you manage money, does that create love for yourself? Does the way you manage your fitness and your finances and, your day, does that create love in, different ways? Then you look at your businesses. Does your business, the systems you use in your business, do they create whatever your purpose is? Do they help people feel alive? Your email, the way you pay your bills and all sorts of things, the program. And then the systems also go up to a cultural level, because there are systems in our world like, sexism and racism and different biases that get in the way of us being able to experience and share our purpose. And the more you are aware of those things, the more you're going to be able to, again, experience your purpose and to share it. And then, does that all make sense to everybody? Is that
oh yeah,
simple? And then and the cool part about this is that this is an ecosystem. So as you grow your purpose and you start to produce more results and you can experience and share your purpose, you also learn more about yourself and other people and your systems, and it deepens your sense of purpose. And this is something that I'm atheist, and so I had no intention of ever talking about this, but it's just there. as you deepen your sense of purpose, wherever you believe your purpose comes from, whether it be a spirit or soul or just the way your brains are wired, it will deepen your faith in that. And I had no intention on that, but it's there, and it's really powerful when people are able to see, like, yeah, my purpose is a reflection of whatever my faith is, and it just gives them a deeper sense of their life.
So good, Joey.
Yeah, so whatever your results you want to have, you want to think of your purpose and how you can experience and share more of it.
Wow. So this slide presentation you have, is that part of your program?
Yeah, this is, so I have the Know Your Purpose program. This is what we did here. Yeah. This is, I'll stop sharing this here. How do I stop sharing?
Just up top, yeah.
Yeah, what I have is a 1 hour program that's what I call Know Your Purpose. And this is where we walk through your purpose and your pillars. And then there's some other things that we do, like planning around your goals and your limits. Because the seventh rule of purpose is that you're always bumping up against limits. To live a life, you're always, there's places you're going to be purpose where you can't. And so we go through that. Then I'm creating what I call your purpose and performance. And this is where we're going to be looking at how you can use your purpose using the ecosystem to produce results. And that will actually be a community program, because it purpose is too all around the place to say, do this, do this, do this, and then produce this result.
Yeah.
So it will be an online, a membership community where the whole idea is that people are bringing their purpose and we're all talking about sharing it, what's working, what's not working, and growing that.
So when is the launch of the program?
The first.
The first.
We'll have the online will be ready to go on the 1st.
So do you have a link to the Kajabi landing page?
Not yet. I'm working on it, but I will send it. I can send it to my website. And then
Kajabian in the house, Kajabians.
Kajabi, yeah. I'm working on that.
Okay.
I'm working on it.
Linda and I were laughing about that today, like a special handshake or some sort of nanu or something. I don't know, for all of us crazy Kajabians. But yes, yeah, because I just wanted people to be, I didn't know if you had a waiting list or if you had an early registration landing page so people can get on your list. How can they get on your list?
They can't quite as of yet. They can email, send me a Facebook link and I'll put you on there. But I need to create that.
Okay, so give me your email address. I'm going to put it in the chat. People can reach out, and then you can send them a way to opt in.
Yeah, it's joey@joeychandler.net.
Right, joey@joeychandler.net. So it's in the chat. So I would take that, copy paste it, put it into your email, fire off an email to Joey. Great value, amazing information, so powerful for everybody. And I'm pretty sure that people are going to want to either get in a call with you, get into that 1 hour, your program, or what's coming up, so that they can kind of go through those slides. Because I was looking at them going, they look really interesting. I want to know more about those slides. Yes. So we want to support you as well, because what you're doing is awesome. And I'm excited about your book and the program and all of it. And I've known you for a couple of years, and I don't think I've ever seen you this happy.
No, it's all there, and it's really about identifying your purpose and then learning how to share it and expand it.
But you figured out your purpose. That's why you're so lit up.
Yep.
It's
for sure.
Fantastic. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. If anybody has any questions, just let me know. I'll help them out whatever way I can.
Well, listen, we appreciate you've been very, very generous with your time and your expertise, and I know everybody in the room is appreciative, just like I am. So, thank you so much, Joey. I know we'll be hearing from you again.
Yes.
And thanks to everybody who invested their evening with us tonight. I always appreciate you here. Love seeing all of your faces, my Webclass Wednesday warriors. So, you'll get the recording, but thank you for being here, and have a great evening, everybody.
Yes. Thank you, everybody.
Bye for now.
Bye.